in Zoom, but having the API to YouTube, setting up my meeting for YouTube Live. Once that connection is set, I have see that it's working very nicely, and I can set that up. So I welcome everyone for today. We will cover enterprise resource planning today and talk about how Gen AI applies to enterprise resource planning. We'll do some administrative chores, talk about what the rest of our time together is for this month. Basically, we're having 1 month together, and hopefully you'll be working on your projects as we proceed. Okay, so hopefully everybody has their cameras on, ready to go, looking perfect. Nikita, we have a guest here, a special guest, Nikita, with you.
Yes, this is my friend Annabelle. She wanted to sit in today.
Okay, she's welcome to sit in, and then you can, if she has any brilliant comments that she can share with the class, we'll do it at this time. Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Everyone is welcome, and Nikita, we're so welcoming. Did you tell her that we even broadcast live to YouTube at the same time? So
yes,
we're everywhere, right? As we say, as we go through our technology. Okay, do I have any volunteers to moderate the chat as we go on? Any volunteers? I need 2 volunteers.
I could do it.
Okay, so Ethan, be so kind, and who else?
I could do it.
Okay, and who was that second person?
Robert.
Okay, Robert. Okay, perfect, Robert. Okay, I didn't see you. All right, so Robert and Ethan, if you could be so kind and moderate our chat and see if there's something I need to know while I'm speaking or even at the end of the class. And, sometimes people, if it's appropriate, we can also ask them to unmic themselves. Okay, so we have a full session here that I want to talk about. Of course, we need to work on our group projects. One of the overall thoughts about your group projects is we're using Wix because I have an academic relationship with Wix that we can upgrade to full domain names, which is more professional. We can also use SEO analytics and be seen along with Google. The way to be seen is using a full domain name. And also, these domain names are valuable. It's great for your brand. And as I said before, you have this domain name for a year free. You can even take your entire site in your domain name and see if you can put it for sale, or you can be part of a group. That's up to you. What I would like to say is many of you have taken advantage of the Gen AI that is in Wix. The problem with a Gen AI in generic, besides its hallucinations, besides it sometimes getting things not correctly, is it really isn't fine-tuned. So you'll see that even many of you will have the same type of wording along your websites that I think don't capture the essence of what you're doing. So I have no problem in even encouraging you to use the Gen AI tools, but you need to use human intelligence and work through it to make sure that it is focusing in exactly what you want to do. We've discussed it last time, and we will discuss it more in the future. This Wednesday, I will have each group then do a short presentation. you don't have to do a formal one, but showing how you've progressed, what have you done differently, what has been new. And we'll be doing that once a week, that by the time you do your final presentation in 4 weeks, in December 2nd, I will just have you showcase what is new. And then after you do that what is new part for me, and I can give you feedback, your formal presentation will be recorded in Zoom, where you'll be able to upload it and give an entire presentation to someone not familiar with your services, and also possibly someone that even could even invest in what you've done. Okay, so let me share my screen. And once I share my screen, I will then do some administrative functions there. And you can see yourself here on YouTube, and notice that this is a bit lag because of transparency. So I know that this is working. I will then do a full screen. I was on Zoom meeting before, and let's go to the what's due section. And in the what's due section, for last time, you should have read the chapter on artificial intelligence, done the adaptive assignment. We had some issues with the adaptive assignments on Wiley, but I think that has been fixed on their end. Sometimes they have some server problems. Sometimes you need to use the Chrome browser. Again, we're talking about a cloud service. So you need to do the adaptive assignment and Wiley quizzes. And also you need to read these additional articles. One is by SAS on what is artificial intelligence, another on machine learning, and this last article on generative AI. I've also given you 2 links on Notebook LM that I'd like to see that if you can use it for podcasting of your website. I'm not sure it will work, but we'll try it out and see if we can do that. And also, some of you may even use the Notebook LM as one of your products that you will be reviewing. For Wednesday, what you need to do is part 3. This should be already have done for Wednesday on your final project. You need each group, which I think there was just one group that hadn't posted their URL. For Wednesday, each of your groups then should have upgraded your Wix and progress with your site assignment. Readings is information systems within the organization. I'll go over that with you today, and the adapted reading and the Wiley quiz. If you look at our calendar here, you'll see on the 18th, we will have our second exam. It will be in the same room on the 18th. It will be in SBA 204. It will cover all the new chapters, plus we will also include chapters 4 and 5, which we had done before, but I think they're important still to note, of data security and data management. So next week, I will do a review on the 13th. And next week, I will also hand out a review sheet for you of the terms that you need, plus the open-ended questions that we will be going through. And some of the open-ended questions will be on cloud computing and, of course, on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and Gen AI, and how you've been working with those features as well, and also the cloud services that you've done. You've done before with the NinjaTrader using the cloud, even the Wix development and all your issues as well. So we will be going over that, and you can see the under assignment instructions. You'll see here, this was the part 2 of creating the website. And then this is part 3, upgrading using the provided code. We get a code for a year. Invite all the team members to the project group. Let me just tell you on the project groups, not only will the project be graded, but the individual contributions will be graded, and there will also be a peer review. So you will be noting, even in your presentation that you will be giving me on December 2nd, one of your slides will be, what are the contributions of each of the persons in your group? And here you can see the PDF file, where here was the goal: upgrade, invite the team members, have AI tool pages. And then this is a case where you need to not only evaluate the tools, but see how it fits into your project. Meaning, if there's tools that you think can be, that you want to review, for instance, if you're doing real estate investors, how this could help real estate investors. If you're doing it for marketing, how does this help marketeers? If you're doing it for students to be tutors, or to be helping them student teaching aids, how these can be helping. You'll be also make sure for this week that you have a contact page of how they can get in touch with you, and you should set up then at least 3 social media accounts. Notice when you do the Wix, you already have on a lot of the templates, they already have icons to connect to, for instance, to TikTok or LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. This should be not setting it up that it's going to be advertising Wix, but it should be with you. And there's also on the site, the mobile site, if you go to website and SEO, there's steps to have you, once you have your formal URL, you complete those steps that you allow then Google to crawl on the internet, and so you can find yourself. So other people can find you, because even if you are the greatest, if people don't know that you exist, it is not important. Okay, any questions? So Ethan, are there any questions that I need to know about or in the chat?
Nope.
Perfect. So we'll proceed there. So in proceeding, let me talk about a few things that are important, and that is information systems. So if I go to the Wiley Reading and Adaptive, and I go to chapter 10, and let's see if this is going to work. I'll even start with transactional processing. Let's see if my link works. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Let's see. Notice I'm going to go to my bookshelf, and this is what I want. I don't want the 9th edition. I want the 10th edition. So let's see if we can get into the 10th edition. And we covered last time machine learning and deep learning. You'll need to know what that is in terms of machine learning that provides, automatically learns. The whole idea of machine learning is what, Ethan? That it's going to improve. When we think about the traditional spreadsheet, Ethan, and we give it a formula, and let's say the formula is incorrect, we expect Excel not to come back and say, you know, Dr. Rush, you put in the wrong formula. You have the wrong weights. But in machine learning, if it's incorrect, we expect based on a number of times that it can learn, look at patterns, that it can start correcting itself and getting better. That's the whole idea. Just like Ethan, when we are learning, we do expect to make mistakes, but after we make a couple of mistakes, we want to do what, Ethan? Learn from our mistakes. And then that's the same thing in machine learning. And that's one of the things that we have to think sometimes. That's the problem with the generative AI, is many times it's trying to just guess what's the next word, and it possibly is not learning that we have to have it keep on training on our data. And we need then, what I want is chapter 10, which chapter 10 will talk about transaction processing systems, functional area information systems, what we call ERP and enterprise. So Robert Kim, an enterprise is what? What do we say is an idea what an enterprise is? It's the university and enterprise. Yes.
Yes.
Basically, an enterprise is what we consider basically a large business, right? That is basically going to be composed of a number of departments. So what is the problem with that, Robert? The problem is many times, do we have many schools at the university? We have a school of business, we have a school of law, we have arts and sciences, we have a nursing school. Many schools. And what's the problem here is, how do you then do what? Plan all the possible resources, right? We have to create a budget, right? It's basically, we're not basically thinking about just today, but in the future. All of that has to be put together. Do we have at the university, do we have employees, Robert?
Yes.
Yes. Do these employees have to be paid? Of course they do. Do they have certain benefits? Yes. Do they have health insurance, right? All of that. Who's going to control that? Who's going to keep track of that? I want to get paid, right? If you work for the university, Robert, you would want to get paid. You may be like Daniel gets paid, right? I'm his supervisor, right, Daniel? And what do you have to do? He has to clock his hours. Every time he works, right, he goes to an enterprise resource planning called Workday that the university has, and he clocks his hours, and it says in there that I am a supervisor, and above there I have other supervisors, and they basically have his account where they put his salary into it. I have to, how it's set up, I have to approve his hours. He can't just come up, Robert, and say, oh, he worked 60 hours last week, and I can't decide, you know what they pay me at the university? I think I'm just fabulous. I think I need triple that amount. Don't you think so, Robert? So I don't have rights, right, to say, you know, put another couple of zeros there. I need millions they have to be paying me, right?
I would happily take a couple
there
extra
has to be-
zeros.
What?
I would happily take a couple extra zeros.
Yeah, right. Everybody take a couple more zeros on our salaries. But the idea is, guess what? There's roles and procedures. All of that has to be, guess what? Saying to ourselves, we got to put all this planning together. And then there's a number of departments here. Think about, what is your major, Robert? Tim?
Finance.
Finance. So think about all the financials, right, of the university. Do we have what? Not only are we getting tuition, but they have what? We have scholarships, we have loans, all of that. Who's taking care of all that? Who can keep it down? Do we have a registrar? Yeah, who's taking care of all the grades? What is your, basically, when we think about it, is it when you're going to be, even what? When you're graduating, do we want to keep track of you, Robert? Of course, we university wants to keep track. Why? Just like any other company, they want to sell you more. Either they want to sell you an MBA, or they want to, I'm being crude, right, of selling, but they want to keep up. And if you become that multi-billionaire, right, that you invented something, Robert, wouldn't you love to have a building with your name on it. We can give it to you too, right? And then you can have something special. We're going to have a 100th year anniversary. And what do you think they're going to do in that 100 years? They're going to go out to donors and say, hey, we're having all these new programs. We're going to have an AI program. We're going to have an AI institute. We have we're going to have at the university, in the medical school, we're going to be able to do drug discovery. All that needs what? Funding. Who's going to fund that? So that's why it's so key here, enterprise resource planning. And guess what? If I think about it, Nikita, what's going to be the next step? Of course, it's going to be cloud in there, right? But what else is going to be part of that ERP systems is artificial intelligence, Gen AI, that even though all the forecasted, I want artificial intelligence to automate a lot of these systems for me and do a lot of prediction. So I don't have to spend a lot of time to even maintaining these systems. So if you think about it, Daniel, we have just even set up that Workday, right? If I go, what is it? Workday Miami.workday, is it?
Workday.miami.edu.
Is it Workday or Miami? Yeah, Workday.
Workday.miami, yeah.
I mean, EDU. So if it's Workday Miami, it's basically, guess what? It's University of Miami that I have to log in. I have to give the duo, right? Not everybody, would they want everybody to be able to get in? Of course not. And now they're even making it, of course, I need to put my duo account, right? I have to put it, so I'll put my duo account. Doesn't matter if I put my duo account right there. I need to verify. Once I verify, this is an ERP system, Robert. This is an ER system. It's called Workday. And guess what? It tells me, hello there, right? And it tells me team highlights. These are my teaching assistants that I have. And notice we have the excellent Daniel comes up first, right? Because this semester he's number one for me in it. And then they're telling me what are the actions involved. And this is personalized to me. I'm going to see, Robert, something completely different than the president at the university sees, right? Because I have a different role. I'm a full professor in the School of Business, and also I have connections with the medical school in health informatics. But I have a different role. I have a different one. And then they have this one. They have my awards, insights. All of this is basically all of HR, and this is a cloud base for Workday. So if I went to Workday.com, this was specialized for the university. Workday.com, notice what it puts at that first sentence. Do you see that, Clark? Read this for me. The AI first platform of HR, human resource, and what? Finance. Look at that. Is this part of marketing, you think, Clark?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether they have it or not, but they know that what, Clark? They better compete and throw in AI, and then we got to think about it. So look at this. Workday is the only platform. I think they exaggerate, don't you, Clark? You're gonna, when we think about legal, right, is the only platform that unites HR, right, with human resources and finance to keep businesses moving forward. Are you ready to fundamentally transform? This is the idea of all this AI, how you manage your people and money. So if you were then, they put you, Clark, the head of HR at the university. You have a legal background because that's going to be important, right? For all our lawsuits or potential lawsuits, right? And all of our equity, and transfer your people. And guess what? In this case, Robert Kim will make you the CFO at the university because you have the finance background, right? And it's together. Do they go together? Of course. So notice, I love this. And this, Daniel, is different from last semester. They never had this on their first page, right? Of AI dash first platform. I didn't even know it because I hadn't even been there for, let's say, a month or so. But this is their Workday. It doesn't matter. This is just one vendor. IBM is another vendor. Oracle is another vendor. They have SAP is another vendor. There's a number of vendors in this space that have traditionally been what? Data vendors, traditionally have been in human resources, traditionally have been in finance, because this is a way in which they talk about enterprise resource planning. They're talking about what? We all have limited, think about it, Robert, Kim, we all have what? Limited resources, and we got to plan for it in the future. What was a big deal in the university when COVID came out first? Do you think the university took a step back and said, hey, how are we going to continue? Now you're with me online. Before, I was teaching Zoom before the pandemic came about, but I was probably the only professor on campus trying to get people to do collaboration. Then all of a sudden they said, oh, we have collaboration. Notice when there was a potential hurricane, what did the university quickly do, Robert, Kim? They said, what? Everybody goes online. Now it's nothing. Before it was like, oh, wow, ooh, ah. And basically we need to do a hybrid. Jobs are like that too. Some are going to be all, it's going to be all remote. Some of them will be all in person. Now, basically it's a hybrid. A number of you or a number of your people that you know that are close to you have a hybrid approach. Some of these even, which is interesting to me, Amazon and even Zoom have required their employees to come back to the office. Partly, I think that is also an easy way for them to say, hey, let's get rid of some people. And if they don't come back, it's an easy way to go. But that's just my opinion on it, but it's basically a waste. But I like this idea that you can think about what is AI, and you can think about the enterprise here, human capital management, right? They're all looking in the sky. I guess that's a thing too. And guess what? Could these be AI generated? What do you think here? Nikita, could all of this website could be all generated AI, right? Do they say right here generated by AI? This probably this person and this person. Give me an older guy, with a beard and he looks intellectual, and here give me a female, whatever, and this is what they come up with. But anyways, human capital management, empower your people and adapt your workforce to the future of work. What does that mean? This is also, don't you think, Clark, this also can be AI generated, doesn't it? It says nothing to us, really, doesn't it? It's like those future work, those things. And notice here, drive innovation, manage costs. Who doesn't want to manage costs? And make smarter finance decisions. What does smarter mean? I don't know. What I would like to see is finance decisions that can that it's more profitable at the end. I don't know what smarter means, but smart in terms of here, transform entire business process with our next generation of AI. Why am I also showing it to you? Why that even an do you see that, Daniel? Even an ERP system that we can think about standardized is really saying, hey, if you're going to work on that system of that ERP, let's say Workday or Salesforce or any of the other ones, you're going to have to work with humans, have to work with AI. And what are they going to do? Generate scripts for us. They're going to make smart agents that a lot of things that are that are financial, a lot of the financial books, I don't have to do it manually. I don't have to, a lot of the things that are machine learning, that they can find patterns that automate, we can do. So you can see here, it's interesting, just at first, Workday has enabled us to do routine work more efficiently. Now that's bad. That frees us up to do the next acquisition, to work on the next business strategy, to provide the better analytical work to our business partners. And to me, JC, you know what this means? To me, this means that people that are going to buy these systems are afraid that means they're going to fire me. So notice they say Workday doesn't have us employ less people. Do you see that, JC? It just said it frees us to do the next acquisition. So the people then will be working on the next business strategy. They'll do better. But this is the case. We move the business forward. We elevate humans. Do you see that, Sebastian? That everybody's worried about the computer taking me over, that AI is going to be reducing the number of people I have. Guess what, Sebastian? I think they are. There'll be less people, but in this case, free your people up to focus more on meaningful work that only humans can do. And more as we go on, guess what, Sebastian? There'll be less work these humans can do. Because a lot of that things, but at least the tedious types of things, and you'll have to figure out then, Sebastian, what are the types of tasks that can be automated? What are the types of tasks that we can train the AI to do? That's where the humans will be involved in. And then when AI doesn't do good enough, then you'll be involved in it. And supercharge, do more with less. What does it mean more with less? Less people to drive flawless. And this is, what is flawless? There's always going to be flaws, but less of them. Business operations to do what? This is finance, right, Sebastian? This is going to be right in my account. Save time, which is money and effort, and deliver measurable values for our next generation of AI that lights a path forward. I don't know what that means, forward thinking. And then they gain full insight, achieved a single view across. Basically, what happens is these companies become large and we don't even know what's happening across our whole department. So we don't know how well is the School of Business doing, what is doing well in the School of Business, what majors are doing well in the School of Business, who are getting jobs, what types of jobs our employers want to give out. Reinvigorate skill tracking with machine learning. Notice even how I train my people with machine learning. Increase career advancement opportunities. Nobody wants to work in a company, Sebastian, guess what? That doesn't help them with their career, that I don't learn. I tell you, JC, if you go take a job, one of the first things I'll recommend for you is you say, I got, let's say a certain amount in one job and I got $5,000 more in another job. Which one should I get? My thing would not be that extra 5,000, but what can help you advance your career? What can help you learn more? Will they help you? Ready to talk? But this is kind of that whole idea of that AI first, and you can think this one is an ERP. So what are the products? Finance planning, and guess what? Analytics and reporting. Payroll. All of this, which we're accounting, basically, we can think about it in finance, are together so we can have it as an entire organization with HR. And you can think HR is basic human resource of our human capital, our employee experience. We want to really help our employees, our talent management, analytics and reporting, vendor management, workforce planning, and local and global payroll. And then planning. What is planning? Looking at the future. Basically, what's my budget going to be next year, in the 5 years? How many students? How many students online should I have? Should I go online, or should I go hybrid, or should I build more fancy dorms? Should I have more activities? Should I have the JC? Should I have the SATs? Close column workforce planning. Do I need more professors, less professors? What type of professors do I need? Do I need tenured professors? Do I need adjunct professors? Do I need professors with more industry experience? I have a medical school here. Do I need more doctors? What type of doctors do I need? Do I need to have, now they just hired an AI officer. Maybe we can have them come into the class. All of a sudden we had an AI officer because our IT did not know much about AI. Operational planning, how should we operate? And look at this, artificial intelligence, they put it in. own work every day with AI. So what is different from even the chapter in your book, JC, is this. AI is going to reinvent enterprise resource planning as well. So that is the key when you think about AI. So you can read through, you have ones here on information systems. They talk about what they call transaction processing systems. They talk about functional areas. They talk about identify the advantages and drawbacks of ERP systems and what are the three main processes. And what I'm here to tell you today is that AI will be, if not even today, but shortly will be incorporated into my ERP systems to allow my employees to use generative AI and machine learning tools to help them be more efficient and quicker in their work. So this is an area which I want to start off with. This is what you need to know. You need to know what is a transaction processing system, what's a functional area, what are enterprise resource planning system, and what is ERP. So let's talk about a transaction. So Sebastian, you're my accounting major, right? So if I think about it, what's a transaction? It's some kind of business event that's being captured and it's stored in a database. So if I go to Publix, does Publix have a transaction processing system? What do you think, Sebastian?
Sorry, my computer was glitching. Yes, it does.
Repeat my question to make sure, with our audio, sometimes it goes back and forth. So repeat my question of what you understand.
All I heard was, to be honest, Publix and transaction processing systems. So
Does Publix have a transaction processing system?
I would assume they do.
You do. So think about it. If I go to Publix now after class, right? And I buy a half a gallon of milk and some bread. I go to the counter and what happens? Let's say I go to the cashier. I don't even have to go to the cashier. I can do it myself. I can check out, right?
Right.
If I scan then the product, that's a transaction, right? And when it scans it, I'm getting a receipt, but where else does it go? That transaction is going into their system for what purposes, Sebastian? Think about it. When I buy a carton of milk and I scan it, what's the purpose of that? Besides me getting a receipt that I can go outside the store and one of the security guards doesn't stop me that I tried to steal a half a gallon of milk. Besides getting that receipt in my hand, what else is happening there?
Tracking sales and tracking.
Well, basically, it's going to be going into the system saying that half a gallon of milk, right, that it's going to be recorded. It's also going to be recorded in their accounting system, right, Sebastian? Right, of their sales. But what else is happening? So it's going to go to their accounting system. What else is it going to? It's going to go to their inventory, right?
Right.
So it's going to be reducing that. So anytime, whether I'm dealing with a car dealership, whatever I'm going to, any purchasing, right? Amazon, whoever I do it online or I physically go somewhere, they have in the background, they have a transaction processing system that's going to what? It's going to monitor, it's going to collect, it's going to store. I'm going to have those basics. So I can use it later on, those transactions. That is going to be this transaction system to be able later on, I could put it into a data warehouse after it's historical. You remember we talked about it, Sebastian, a data warehouse where you can do it historical. So I can do that. I also have what I call an online transaction processing that not only is it online, but it happens immediately. So in this case, if I were thinking about it, Elena, if I'm thinking about it, let's say that on Thursday, I want to go on a trip, right? I want to go from Thursday to Sunday. So what can I do? I can get online, right? I can purchase a ticket. I put in my credit card. I purchase that ticket. And that is called online transaction processing, that I get that seat, right? And sometimes they overbook, right? Because what? Because they think that some people won't show up. But I would like to get that seat and I would like to go on that flight. That is what we call online transaction processing, that it happens immediately. So this is what we call online transaction. It's continuous real-time data collection. The whole purpose is we know that it exists. We just didn't know at the time. We don't pay attention with it. But of course, we want to maintain privacy and security. When I give my credit card, Elena, I don't want the system to grab my credit card with my code behind it and basically steal my credit card information. So hopefully these systems, when I'm doing online, hopefully they're going to protect my privacy and security. Or if I go to Whole Foods, right, I have to tap my credit card, right? I'm assuming they're going to have privacy and security. Do they get hacked? Of course they do, Elena, sometimes. But in that case, now we have something called batch processing. And what is batch processing? You can put that in your notes. Batch processing is like what it sounds, Amanda, it is now going to be done as a batch. For instance, payroll. Amanda, are you working now or have worked in the past? Amanda.
I worked for like a jewelry company over the summer.
Okay, over the summer you worked, and in that case, how did they pay you?
I got paid with cash.
You got paid with cash, and that's unusual, right? That somebody actually gave you. It was a mom and pop kind of jewelry store.
Yeah, I was like helping out a neighbor.
Yeah, you're helping out a neighbor, so it's mom and pop. But if you actually went to, Jay's Jeweler or something, a national chain, they probably wouldn't pay you in cash, right? So in basic, they would have your number of hours you worked, and they would basically batch those all together. So at every 2 weeks or at the end of the month, you would get your paycheck. That's called batch. So I can do it in those processes. So I can look at it. If you look at this figure here, that they have cornflakes, or when I'm in Publix or wherever, when it gets scanned here, that's called a business event or a transaction. And that basically scan goes into the transaction processing system, and that transaction processing system, this circular figure right here is a database. Remember we talked about databases where the transactions all go into a database, and what makes up the database is functional areas like accounting, marketing, human resources. They help us make decisions with business intelligence expert systems. And a lot of this training there will be used for my Gen AI to make better decisions. Notice they don't use the word AI here. You could add the word AI because that's what's going to be incorporated next into these systems. So you think, what is a functional area? Just you can think about it almost, Amanda, like our departments in the School of Business. We have accounting, we have finance, we have marketing, we have production, operations management, human resource management. And what is your major, Amanda?
I'm a real estate major.
Real estate. So finance and real estate, it's the same kind of thing that you would then basically keep track of the housing. You'd be keeping track of the functional areas of who you employ. So if you work for a large realty company that has several agents, they have several offices, maybe not even just in the United States, but across the world, that would be in. And what the idea here, if I think about it, the idea that we can think about is that we have what we call centralized or decentralized information departments. And basically what centralized and decentralized mean is centralizes all the decisions are made in one area. Decentralized, you think, in this case, would be what? What do you think in this case, decentralized would mean, Clark? Let's think of IT. We have, you remember when we were in the lab, when we were at our test, what did I have? I said IT came to help us with Respondus. You remember that? Helped us get all the computers up. That IT department came from the School of Business. Every school has kind of a little IT department, but they also have, for the entire university, they have what they call a central IT. So sometimes they'll have a central IT. So what's the advantage of a central IT versus, you think, a decentralized? We are going, just to let you know, the trend, Clark, is we are going more and more at our university toward a centralized IT department. That means what? That the decisions are made at a higher level, at a higher level outside the school department versus decentralized, meaning that every school in the university runs their own show, more or less. What's the advantage? And if I said here, what's the advantage of a decentralized IT department? It would mean that the decisions would be closer to the people that use the IT. That's what I would say. So we have a new dean, Clark. Did you hear about him? So his big thing, he's in my department, in our department in business technology. And I'm pleased to say, and his outlook to computing is similar to mine in the way that he thinks AI should be everywhere, and we should be teaching our students really to be experts in Gen AI. No matter if they're marketing students, they're pre-law, he's with me that, hey, we're gonna, it will help us in jobs, and we really can work it through. So for me to ask for software, for instance, I'll give you an example, like Zoom has what I call AI Companion, where it summarizes when I record, I record all my lectures. At the end of my recording, AI tries to, it has the transcript already, it has the voice to text transcript already. It will try to summarize what are the main points of my lectures. That's built in, and it's given free to all those that have acquired this software, Zoom. The central IT is not sure what the data, what's going to happen with that data. They're concerned who's going to look at the summary. Was the summary correct? And what they've done is administratively, they've cut off that option for us. You got it, Clark? If it were centralized, if it were decentralized, I know my dean would have been it would have been decentralized. Number one, I would have more clout with my decentralized, even though I do have a lot of clout with central, but not enough, would have approved that. So there's an idea of that decentralized. The disadvantage is then, do you take courses outside the School of Business, Clark?
Not this semester.
But other semesters you have?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to graduate by taking classes outside the School of Business. Is that correct?
For me, no, because I'm a foot fellow, but usually, yeah.
Yeah, but usually, yeah. So what happens is if you wanted to take it, so the disadvantage is that when you go to another school, right, or you use the other services, it may not be the same. So by centralizing, you can maybe get the best of the best people and you can maybe make better decisions. So this is a question which they're doing now. And of course, they're talking about all of this being cloud. There's disadvantages of the cloud too that they have. So the information systems for accounting and management are also going to be pulled together. So financial planning, financial transactions, investments, control and auditing, seeing what everyone has done, making sure that there's not fraud, making sure that people have the right controls. Remember, we had the security advisor come in to make sure, managing all those global stock exchanges, managing multiple currencies. We talked about that before in Ninja Trading. We talked about doing financial ratio analysis. All of this can be done with the help of Gen AI. And that's what they're talking about, information systems for production and planning. It's the same thing. What kind of inventory do we have? Does everybody just take their, there's some, did they take things home? We have to test, do they have the right quality? Are they upgrading properly? What is the case here? Human resource planning. I have to figure out what is my employees. I have to basically keep track of their learning. I have to give them proper, maybe some, if they need some counseling, if they need mental health to be able to do their health care, all of this. And here they're just talking about the product cycle. You don't have to worry about that. Examples of information systems, whether it's going to be on the operation level, the tactical level, the strategic level. Here, AI is going to be able to help you. And this is what we call enterprise resource planning systems. We've covered it already here, where I told you here, I need to know about my customers, my students in this case. A lot of times there's modules just for student retention. Clark, for instance, to keep students like you that are foot fellows, right, to keep them seeing what's going to motivate them, what's going to keep them in a proper way. The suppliers of the university, their distributors, any relative parties to keep in track. We want to make sure that their systems are secure. Later on, how we got hacked was by other vendors. So you can see here, this ERP system, again, the ERP system, look at this. What's in the middle here, Sebastian, is my database. What is it? It's like a cylinder here. This is where my data is going to be here. This is where I'm not going to have duplicate data. And then what I have is I have different modules maintaining and getting data so I can share my data. So it's not going to be what I call siloed. So it's very much similar to what we talked about before. Clark, you remember when we talked about database management system? The only difference is we're showing accounting's going to need our data, manufacturing if we have it, human resources, customer relationships. If I'm with customers, I call even students my customers, right? If I do e-commerce, if I do business intelligence, if I try to forecast, these are all going to be modules that I have for my ERP system. So these are the cases where I have it. These, you need to know what are the benefits, the limitations here. A lot of times it was very cumbersome to set up. You needed, basically, it was a cloud service, but still it's not out of the box. You had to put in your own data, the university, its quality, its limitations. What else? Failure, basically, in the way insufficient training. What can happen is my Gen AI can help in training. It can quiz my people if I want. On-premise means what? If I look on-premise, what does on-premise mean, Clark? On-premise is different from the cloud, meaning that the software resides on some computers here on campus. But what do you think we use? We use cloud service because they say, why do I need to have my own personnel take care of maintaining to update. So they use a cloud service. What's the problem with having a cloud service? That if I need to gain access, I need to have the internet and the other side, whoever is hosting, right, of Workday has to be up and running. Or we can have what we talked about before in the cloud, software as a service. Instead of software as a service, basically someone else, the vendor, takes care of the software. The university doesn't have to maintain the software. The university doesn't have to worry about the upgrades. So, and the university can get the vendor to help them when there's new updates. So the advantages here, I would say that you can scale up, meaning that what? As I get bigger, I can then get more services. I can gain it in modules. I can gain a lot of information. The disadvantages is that I may not have as much control. The disadvantages may be security. I got a lot of important, think about it, Sebastian. I'm using this Workday. I have all my what? I have all my faculty. I have all my employees what? Payroll there. I don't want somebody to be able, and then they have the link, what, to my bank account. Do I want that to be possibly disturbed? No way. It may be all my finances, right? Also, it may be that I have private financial data of my university that I don't want to share. And then you can think about it is they can do a customer resource planning, supply resource planning. It can be all of this is going to be tracked, and AI will be a part of all of this. Salesforce now, others are working on all ways, scripting. When I call HR, all of that will be scripting. I may have intelligent chatbots. I may have agents there integrating all of this ERP systems together. And even just setting up all of these flow charts require quite a bit of time. They have logical rules that I can go to. So that's the next step. So you understand, Clark, kind of the overview of it is taking almost what we did before, the database management system, and particularly think about that database management to spread it over an entire enterprise. And you see that that entire enterprise is the School of Business, the law school. And if you were then, Clark, the head of HR, you would then have that entire system that you would want help on it, not worry about spending time learning the system, right? That it could generate reports, and then you would have your humans oversee what it's producing. So that's the future. Comments on it. So, Daniel, what's in store for us, and what's going to be? I guess on Wednesday we'll put in a new announcement for what our final chapter.
Yeah, the last chapter.
The last
and then
chapter,
there's
chapter 13. So
and
we're
there's a
going to
few
go
more
off
things on the
cloud.
website as
What?
well. There's a few more things for the website, but I mean,
And the website
after Wednesday, it should mostly be done.
mostly be done. So basically, for Wednesday, we'll give out basically your last assignments, really, because it will be the last chapter, which will be 13. So we'll be covering then basically the cloud computing, artificial intelligence, information systems, this ERP, and analytics. So those 4 chapters, plus the chapter on
Chapter 4 and 5. Right?
4 and 5, which is on database management systems of 5 and security. That'll be our second exam. And then Daniel will also work on just posting for us the next part of our assignment or our project. Next week, we'll have guest speaker coming in about chatbots. That's exciting. And he's also going to give us an academic partnership that we can incorporate that into our site. And then the following week, we'll have an exam. And then we'll work on, I'll give you feedback on your projects.
Excuse me, Professor.
Mm-hmm.
For the project, we were supposed to have, like, for part 1, 3 different AI apps and talk about their functions in regards to how we would be using them. But for part 3, it says to, like, demonstrate how we would actually use them. And it says that
Part of them.
each person should
Well, I would
Then-
prefer when I said 3, depending on how you would do it. If you wanted at least to have 3. So in this case, Clark, you could have like 2 people on one product. So
Okay.
for instance, you could have, so if, how many people in your group, Clark?
4.
4. So if you want, either you could do 4, or if you show at least 3, it may be that it's so broad that you want to do 2 parts of it. One part, somebody can do that same app, but looking in a different way, looking in different examples.
Okay.
could look at
Might
it.
be multiple features for each thing. that
Multiple
Right.
you could
features,
split.
multiple ways to use it. What are
Okay.
you using? You're using AI for what sector? What?
I'm using it for tutoring, and I have a tutoring company.
Okay, so the tutoring. So it's perfect. So you can think about it in tutoring as well. Where you could even take, like, I'm just giving an example, like Google Notebook LM. You could show it. There's so many different ways of Google Notebook. So you could use a number of different features. Excellent question, Clark. What else? What other questions do I have? Okay, so let's do, let me do attendance. So we'll end class. Stay with me. If you have additional questions on Wednesday, I will require then, I'll go over the additional parts, plus we'll have, each group will then give a short overview of how far they got. You'll ask questions about it. I'll give you feedback so we can continue. Anything else? Anything in the chat I need to speak about? Robert Kim, nothing, nada. So let me share my screen. I'm going to share. This goes down. This goes to attendance. And this goes to check-in. Start check-in. 5936. 5936. Stay with me if I have additional questions.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I'll see you on Wednesday. And looking forward to see how you've proceeded.
Professor,
Yes.
I have a question. I was always in group 8 and like we started working
Oh,
and
hold on. Let me just get everybody. Can you stay with me?
yeah, that's fine.
Stay with me. So this way, 5936. Daniel, can you put that in the chat? I'm going to then. Stop sharing. And stop recording.